You came here seeking the secret behind creation, and you found it. The quantum law of creation is not about attracting what you want. It's about becoming the force that shapes it. You are the source. Now step into your true power. The quantum law of creation. Introduction. Through the mists of time, a truth has endured, whispered by sages and encoded in the very fabric of existence. This truth, the quantum law of creation, transcends the simple mechanics of attraction and reveals the divine architecture of reality itself. It is not merely about drawing experiences toward you. It is about understanding that you are the source from which all experiences spring forth. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, operates as a living quantum field, a cosmic canvas awaiting the brush of your consciousness. Every thought you hold, every emotion you nurture, every identity you embrace becomes a command to this field. This is not metaphor, but the deepest truth of existence. Your consciousness is the force that shapes reality. When you gaze at the stars wheeling overhead, know that the same force that sets their dance in motion flows through you. The ancients understood this power, building temples not just of stone, but of thought and intention. They knew that the external world is but a shadow cast by the light of inner awareness. You have carried this power through countless lifetimes, though it may have lain dormant beneath the surface of ordinary existence. Now, as you read these words, feel the stirring of recognition deep within your being. This is not new knowledge you acquire, but eternal wisdom you remember. The quantum law of creation operates through three gateways: focus, identity, and vibration. Through focus, you direct the force of creation. Through identity, you become the vessel of manifestation. Through vibration, you attune to the frequency of your desires. These are not mere concepts to be understood, but living principles to be embodied. As you journey through these chapters, you will discover that what appears as magic to the uninitiated is simply the natural operation of universal law. The power you seek does not lie in some distant realm. It pulses within you, waiting to be acknowledged, waiting to be expressed. Part 1, The Awakening. You are the architect of reality. Chapter 1, The Whisper in the Silence. In the depths of an ancient forest where shadows dance with sunlight lived a young woman named Clara. Each morning she would venture deeper into the woods, seeking solitude from the clamor of village life. On one such morning she discovered an old stone well, its walls adorned with symbols that seemed to pulse with hidden meaning. Drawing the wooden bucket upward, Clara leaned forward to quench her thirst. But as the water stilled, she gasped. For in its mirror-like surface, she saw not her reflection, but visions of herself speaking to crowds, healing the sick and radiating a light that transformed all who came near. The well showed not what she was, but what she could become. You too stand before such a well, not of stone and water, but of consciousness itself. Beneath the endless chatter of daily thoughts flows a deeper current, an eternal whisper that speaks of your true nature. This whisper is the voice of the quantum field itself, ever present, ever guiding. Most walk through life responding to circumstances, letting external events shape their inner state. But you are called to a different path, the path of realization. In the space between thoughts, in the pause between breaths, lies the creative force that shapes universes. This force awaits your recognition, your partnership. The first gateway to wielding the quantum law of creation is awareness, not the surface awareness of the senses, but the deep knowing that emerges from silence. For it is in stillness that the blueprint of your destiny reveals itself. Listen now to the tale of Edward, who dwelled in a grand house by the sea. All his life he heard the whisper calling him to write, to share the wisdom that burned in his heart. But fear spoke louder, and he chose instead the path of safety, building walls of wealth that became his prison. Only in his final days, as he watched the sun sink into the ocean, did he fully grasp what could have been, the lives he could have touched, the light he could have shared. Yet Edward's story need not be yours. The same whisper that called to him calls to you now. The power to create, to transform, to manifest flows through you as surely as blood through your veins. Sacred practice, the whisper of creation. Find a space where you will remain undisturbed. Settle into a comfortable position and close your eyes. For 11 minutes, let your breath become your anchor. As thoughts arise, let them pass like clouds across the sky of your awareness. In this sacred silence, ask with your whole being, what is seeking to be created through me? When the time concludes, open your journal and allow the whispers of wisdom to flow through your pen. Trust what emerges, for it comes from the same source that guides the stars. Chapter 2. The Observer's Gift. High in the hills above his village, young Henry would spend his evenings gazing through his grandfather's brass telescope. Night after night, he traced the paths of planets and stars, mapping their dance across the velvet sky. But something extraordinary began to unfold when his innocent curiosity transformed into focused intention. You see, Henry discovered that the stars he observed with particular attention seemed to shine brighter, as if responding to his gaze. The constellations he studied with deep concentration appeared to arrange themselves with greater clarity, while those he merely glanced at remained dim and distant. Through his telescope, Henry unknowingly touched upon one of the universe's most sacred mysteries, the power of conscious observation. This reveals the first mystical truth that has been whispered through the ages. Your observation is not passive. It is an active force that shapes the very fabric of reality. The quantum field, that invisible ocean of infinite possibility, does not respond to wishes or wants. It answers only to the unwavering certainty of your vision. When you truly understand this principle, you realize that every moment of observation is an act of creation. Your focus is not merely witnessing reality, it is programming it. Each thought, each concentrated gaze, each moment of attention is a brushstroke on the canvas of existence. This truth was beautifully embodied by Marjorie, an artist who lost her physical sight in childhood. Yet her inner vision remained crystal clear. In her small studio, she would paint scenes she could only see with her mind's eye. Landscapes of stunning beauty, cityscapes that didn't yet exist, events that had not yet come to pass. Years later, those who knew her work stood in awe as her paintings materialized in the physical world one by one exactly as she had envisioned them. Marjorie's gift wasn't seeing the future. It was seeing with such clarity and conviction that the future had no choice but to conform to her vision. She understood that what is beheld within must eventually manifest without. This is the power that resides within you at this very moment. Sacred practice. Choose one desire that burns brightest in your heart. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and begin to construct this reality in your mind with such vivid detail that your body believes it is happening now. Feel the emotions, sense the physical sensations, hear the sounds, and taste the victory of its manifestation. Maintain this vision until your entire being resonates with the certainty of its existence. This is not an exercise in imagination. It is the act of programming the quantum field itself. Chapter 3. All things begin in the invisible. In the quiet corners of history, countless visionaries have lived ahead of their time, their dreams dismissed as fantasy until the world caught up to their sight. Walter was such a soul, laboring in his workshop on inventions that others called impossible. His most remarkable creation, a device that could harness the energy of thought itself, sat gathering dust while neighbors shook their heads in pity. You too may know this feeling of carrying a vision that others cannot yet see. But understand, the unseen is not unreal. It is simply waiting in the quantum field of infinite possibility, like a seed beneath winter snow. Walter continued his work in solitude, allowing neither doubt nor ridicule to dim his inner knowing. When his machine finally whirred to life, proving what he had known all along, those who had doubted fell silent. Yet Walter felt no triumph, only peace. He had always known the truth, that reality begins in the invisible realm of pure potential. This law of creation remains unchanged. Everything you now see was once unseen. Your home, your relationships, the device through which you read these words, all were first born in the fertile soil of imagination. The visible world is merely the final stage of creation, not its source. Eleanor understood this truth intuitively. Each night, by candlelight, she would write in her leather-bound journal as if living a life not yet manifested. She described in vivid detail the feeling of walking through her dream home, the conversations with souls not yet met, the work not yet begun. Years passed, and one day, while unpacking boxes in her new home, the very one she had described, she found her old journal. As she read its chapters, tears fell upon the ink. She was living inside her own vision. You hold this same power. The future you envision is not a fantasy. It is a blueprint waiting to be built. Your task is not to create something from nothing, but to bring forth what already exists in the realm of pure potential. Sacred practice. Begin your unseen journal today. Each evening, light a single candle and write in present tense about the life you are calling forth. Describe not just the outer circumstances, but the feelings, the sensations, the subtle textures of your desired reality. Read these words aloud by candlelight, letting them sink into your being. The universe will begin to align with your vision, for this is the ancient way of creation. From unseen to seen, from thought to form, from dream to reality. Chapter 4. The Mirror of the Quantum Field. In the mists of time there lived a craftsman named Samuel, whose workshop held more mysteries than mere gears and springs. His hands shaped time itself through the intricate mechanisms of his clocks, yet he noticed something peculiar, a dance between his inner state and the outer world. When frustration coursed through his veins, tools would slip from his grasp or snap without cause. In moments of rage, his most reliable instruments betrayed him, as though the metal itself recoiled from his touch. Yet on days when peace flowed through his being, time seemed to bend to his will. The hours stretched like honey, sweet and abundant, allowing him to accomplish what normally required days in mere moments. Through Samuel's experience, you glimpse a fundamental truth of the universe. It mirrors not your desires, but your essence. The quantum field responds not to what you request, but to who you are. Your emotional frequency creates a resonance that the universe must match, for this is the law that governs all creation. In another time there lived a seamstress named Beatrice who understood this truth in her own way. Her needle danced through royal fabrics, but her true art lay in the invisible threads she wove, whispered affirmations of power, wisdom, and grace stitched into every seam. As she worked, she held in her heart the greatness she saw in others, and something magical began to unfold. The kings and queens who wore her garments stood taller, spoke with more wisdom, and ruled with greater compassion. Yet it was not the words sewn into cloth that transformed them. It was Beatrice's unwavering vision of their highest selves, her absolute knowing of their potential that called forth their greatness. You see, the universe responds not to what you say you want, but to the energy you emanate. Your self-concept is the mold into which reality must pour itself. Like Samuel's workshop and Beatrice's needlework, your world shapes itself to match your inner state with perfect precision. Sacred practice. For the next 7 days, stand before your mirror at sunrise or sunset. Look deeply into your own eyes and speak aloud the truth of who you are becoming. Not who you wish to be, but who you know yourself to be at your core. Speak with the authority of one who commands reality itself. Watch as the world begins to reflect back this declaration, for it has no choice but to mirror the frequency you hold within. Chapter 5. The Frequency of the Creator. In a small village among ancient hills there lived a violinist named George who never spoke a word. His silence, however, held a secret, one that would unveil a universal truth about the nature of creation itself. When George played his violin with joy, sunbeams would pierce even the darkest clouds. When melancholy filled his heart, storm clouds gathered overhead, their tears matching the emotions flowing through his bow. And when he played with pure love, the sick would find themselves mysteriously healed, as though his music carried medicine on its notes. You, like George, are constantly broadcasting a frequency into the quantum field. Every thought, every emotion, every subtle vibration of your being sends ripples through the fabric of reality. The universe does not respond to your wishes or prayers. It responds to your energetic signature, your dominant frequency. This truth becomes clearer through the tale of Agnes, who lived alone in her lighthouse on the storm-beaten coast. Night after night, she maintained not just the light that guided ships to safety, but a deep, unwavering peace within her heart. During the fiercest storms, when other lighthouses failed, ships would inexplicably find their way to safe harbor near her tower. The sailors spoke of a mysterious calm that would descend upon the waters near her lighthouse, as though the peace within her heart created a sanctuary in the physical world. What they didn't realize was that Agnes had mastered the art of frequency. Her emotional state became a beacon more powerful than any physical light. You see, the universe operates like a grand mirror, reflecting back not what you ask for, but what you emanate. Your emotional frequency is the template upon which reality builds itself. When you understand this, you realize that manifestation is not about asking, begging, or even affirming. It's about becoming. Just as George's violin brought forth weather that matched his heart's song, and Agnes's peace calmed turbulent waters, your dominant emotional state shapes the world around you. The key lies not in changing your thoughts, but in consciously choosing and maintaining your vibrational frequency. Sacred practice. Each morning as the sun rises, choose the emotion you wish to embody for the day. Write it down with intention and clarity. Then, for 1 full hour, let this emotion become your baseline frequency. Feel it in every cell of your body. Let it color every interaction, every breath. This is not pretense. It is conscious creation through emotional mastery. For in this practice lies the seed of miracles, waiting to bloom in the garden of your reality. Chapter 6. Doubt is a shadow, not a truth. High in the mist-shrouded peaks, Franklin stood at the precipice of his greatest achievement. The summit beckoned, merely steps away, yet his feet refused to move. Not because his body had failed. His muscles remained strong, his breath steady. But in that crucial moment, doubt rose like a specter, whispering questions that seemed to freeze the very air around him. You too stand at such edges in your life where the goal lies within reach, yet something holds you back. What you must understand is that doubt is not your enemy. It is the shadow cast by your own light. When you approach the threshold of transformation, doubt appears not as a warning, but as a testament to your proximity to breakthrough. The universal law reveals this truth. Resistance intensifies in direct proportion to your closeness to manifestation. Like a cosmic test, doubt emerges strongest when you stand nearest to your dreams. This is not coincidence, but confirmation. In a distant village, Martha, a midwife of 40 years, faced her own edge of doubt. Called to assist a birth during a total blackout, she found herself in a room so dark she could not see her own hands. Yet in that darkness, something profound awakened, a knowing beyond sight. Her fingers became her eyes, her intuition her guide. As the night progressed, she delivered the child perfectly, never once needing to see what she already knew through touch and trust. In that darkness, Martha would later say, I discovered that certainty lives in the heart, not the eyes. Your doubt speaks loudly because your potential speaks louder. When you understand this, doubt transforms from obstacle to oracle, not a wall to stop you, but a sign marking the threshold of your next evolution. The universe tests readiness through resistance, faith through fear. Like Franklin on that mountain ledge, you may feel paralyzed by the whispers of uncertainty. Like Martha in the darkness, you may question your ability to proceed without clear sight. But remember, doubt is not truth. It is merely the shadow your light casts as you approach your destiny. Sacred practice. Take a piece of parchment and write down every doubt that crosses your mind today. Hold nothing back. Let each fear, each uncertainty flow onto the page. When complete, light a candle and burn the paper while speaking these words aloud. This is not my truth. Watch as your doubts transform to ash, understanding that in their dissolution lies your liberation. For what burns away was never truly yours, only borrowed fears masquerading as truth. Chapter 7. The Choice Point. In the sun-scorched valley where hope had withered like dying crops, Virgil stood alone in his fields. The earth cracked beneath his feet, parched and pleading for water. While others had abandoned their land to the merciless drought, Virgil reached into his seed pouch and began to plant. A fool's errand, the villagers whispered, watching from their windows. The gods themselves have turned away from this land. But Virgil understood what they did not, that the universe responds not to conditions but to decisions. You too face such moments of choice. Each sunrise presents you with a sacred crossroad, an invitation to step beyond the visible into the realm of possibility. What appears as circumstance is truly opportunity in disguise. The power lies not in waiting for conditions to change, but in making the choice that changes conditions. In the quantum field of infinite possibility, decision is the force that collapses waves of potential into particles of reality. When you choose with unwavering certainty, you command the very fabric of existence to align with your vision. This is not mere wishful thinking. It is the science of creation itself. Consider Lillian, who taught in a small schoolhouse during times of great hardship. Each morning, before her students arrived, she would touch each desk and whisper a blessing. May this seat hold one who will change the world. Year after year, she maintained this ritual, seeing beyond the poverty and limitations that surrounded her pupils. Decades later, Doctors, inventors, and leaders would trace their inspiration back to her classroom, though none knew of her daily choice to seed their greatness. The power of choice extends beyond the moment of decision. It ripples through time, touching lives yet unborn. When you choose from your highest vision rather than your current circumstances, you activate forces beyond your understanding. Like Virgil, who planted in faith while others doubted, your choice becomes the catalyst for miracles. The rains did come for Virgil just days after his seeds were sown. While others scrambled to plant in the wet earth, his seeds had already taken root, reaching toward their destiny. His harvest proved abundant not because of luck, but because of the power of his choice. Sacred practice. When the sun reaches its zenith today, pause in your activities. In this moment of perfect balance between morning and evening, ask yourself, what am I choosing right now? Listen deeply to the answer that emerges. Then make one bold choice that aligns not with who you have been, but with who you are becoming. Let this choice arise not from circumstance, but from the vision of your highest self. Record this choice in your journal, marking the exact time of your decision. For in this moment, you have altered the course of destiny itself. Chapter 8. The Divine Blueprint. In the quiet hours before dawn, Howard the stonemason would wake from dreams filled with soaring arches and intricate spires. Night after night, the same cathedral called to him, a structure of such magnificence that it seemed to bridge heaven and earth. Though he had never seen it in the waking world, the vision burned in his heart with the intensity of absolute truth. You too carry such visions within you. The desires that wake you in the night, that whisper to you in moments of silence. These are not mere wishes born of lack. They are messages from the infinite, blueprints encoded in your very soul. When a dream persists, when it haunts you with its beauty and possibility, know that you have been chosen as its vessel into being. Howard began to build his cathedral stone by stone, though none could see what he saw. His hands moved with certainty, guided by an intelligence beyond his own. Those who passed by questioned his sanity, for he worked without plans or drawings. Yet he knew, as you must know, that the truest plans are written not on paper, but in the heart. The universe speaks through desire. What calls you most deeply is not the voice of ego or empty wanting. It is your destiny reaching through time to guide you home. Your longing is a lighthouse, illuminating the path you were born to walk. Dorothy understood this truth. In her small corner of the world, she planted a garden unlike any other. Following visions that came to her in meditation, she arranged flowers in patterns that seemed to pulse with hidden meaning. Years later, scholars discovered ancient scrolls depicting sacred geometries, the exact designs Dorothy had planted. She had not invented but remembered, tapping into wisdom that existed before time. Like Dorothy's garden and Howard's cathedral, your deepest desires carry the signature of the eternal. They are not random or meaningless. They are your soul's recognition of its own divine assignment. When you honor these desires, when you dare to build what others cannot yet see, you participate in the great work of bringing heaven to earth. The universe has planted these seeds within you for a reason. Your task is not to question them, but to tend them with devotion and trust. For in the fulfillment of your truest desires lies the fulfillment of your purpose. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed. Light a candle and with pen and paper, write a letter to your deepest desire as if it were a living presence, a wise guide who has chosen you as its guardian. Begin. Beloved desire, I acknowledge you as a sacred messenger. Ask what it needs from you to come into being. Write without censoring or judging. Let the wisdom flow through you. When complete, hold the letter to your heart and feel the resonance of truth within your body. Keep this letter as a covenant between you and the divine intelligence that speaks through your desires. Chapter 9. Time is the illusion, now is the portal. In the heart of an ancient city, Milton tended to his timepieces with meticulous care. Each morning, as sunlight filtered through dust-laden air, he would wind his beloved clocks, their steady rhythm marking the passage of moments. Yet one day, moved by an inexplicable urge, he reached out and stopped the hands of his masterpiece. A golden chronometer passed down through generations. In that suspended moment, something shifted. The air grew thick with possibility, and events began to unfold with uncanny precision. Customers he had thought of would appear at his door. Solutions to mechanical puzzles revealed themselves without effort. Milton discovered that by stepping outside the stream of linear time, he had accessed a realm where all possibilities converged. You stand at this same threshold now. The eternal moment, this now, is not merely a point between past and future, but the source from which all realities emerge. When you root yourself in presence, time becomes clay in your hands, malleable and responsive to your consciousness. The past you carry exists only in memory. The future you fear or desire lives only in imagination. But this moment, this eternal now, is where all power resides. It is the only point from which creation is possible. Rose understood this mystery. Each morning she would sit in her garden at precisely 7:17, entering a state of complete presence. She refused to carry yesterday's story or tomorrow's anxiety. In that pristine awareness, she witnessed what others called impossible: flowers blooming out of season, relationships healing without words, abundance flowing without effort. What others claimed took years, she experienced in moments of pure presence. The universe does not know time as you have been taught to know it. It responds only to the quality of your consciousness in this moment. When you stand fully present, unencumbered by regret or anticipation, you access the quantum field where all possibilities exist simultaneously. Your power to create does not depend on how long you have waited or how far you must go. It depends solely on your ability to root yourself in the eternal now. From this center point, all timelines are accessible, all realities are available. Sacred practice. Throughout your day, pause at random moments. Let all thoughts of past and future fall away. Center yourself in pure presence and declare with quiet authority, I am in the center of all time. I choose from here. Feel the weight of these words in your body. Notice how reality seems to pause, waiting for your conscious direction. This is the moment of power, the only moment there ever is. Chapter 10. The Sacred Permission. In a small attic room, bathed in the soft glow of morning light, Clarence sat before his writing desk. Manuscripts filled every drawer, stories woven with dreams, characters breathing with life, yet hidden from the world's eyes. Each day he would write, seal the chapters away, and wait for a sign that he was worthy of being read. You may recognize yourself in Clarence's hesitation. How often have you waited for external validation before embracing your gifts? The universe whispers a truth you must now hear. Permission does not come from without, but from within. Your power lies dormant until you claim it. The cosmic forces do not bestow worthiness, they respond to your declaration of it. When you stand in alignment with your inner authority, the universe bends to mirror your certainty. The laws of creation operate through self-recognition. What you believe about your worthiness becomes the frequency you emit, and thus the reality you attract. You need not wait for acclaim, for approval, for someone to recognize your light. You need only decide. In a small village lived Pearl, whose bakery filled the streets with aromas that seemed to carry blessings. People spoke of how her bread brought comfort, how her pastries sparked joy. When asked how she infused such magic into her creations, Pearl would smile knowingly. She had never sought permission to share her gift. She never questioned if she was qualified to bless others through her craft. One morning, standing before her ovens, she had simply decided, "I am a vessel for divine nourishment." From that moment, every loaf she baked carried her unwavering certainty in its crust. Your gifts, whether they be words, healing, art, or wisdom, are not waiting for the world's approval. They are waiting for your decision to honor them as sacred. The moment you declare your divine right to create, to serve, to prosper, to shine, that is the moment the universe begins to arrange itself around your certainty. Sacred practice. As twilight approaches, light a single candle in a quiet space. Let its flame remind you of your inner light, the one that needs no external permission to shine. Stand before it, feet planted firmly on the ground, and speak these words with the authority of your soul. I permit myself to receive all that I have called forth. Feel the power of self-authorization coursing through your being. Let the candlelight witness your declaration of worthiness. Part 2. The Practice Aligning with the Quantum Current. Chapter 11. Thought as the First Vibration. In the hushed corridors of an ancient library, Ruth moved with grace among towering shelves of leather-bound wisdom. Before placing each book in its home, she would pause, close her eyes, and whisper words of blessing. May you find the one who needs your truth. What began as an intuitive ritual soon revealed a deeper law of creation. You stand now at the threshold of understanding how thought shapes reality. Not as mere wishful thinking, but as the primary substance from which all manifestation emerges. Through Ruth's simple practice, a profound truth unveiled itself. Thoughts carried with reverence hold a magnetic force that mere mental chatter cannot match. The universe responds not to the volume of your thoughts, but to their coherence. When you scatter your mental energy across 1,000 concerns, you dilute your creative power. But when you hold a single thought with clarity, nurture it with emotion, and sustain it with unwavering focus, you create a resonance that the quantum field must answer. In the quietude of his study, Stanley unrolled blueprints yellowed with time. His weathered hands traced the lines of buildings that now pierce the sky. Structures he had first built in the sanctuary of his mind decades ago. Each tower, each arch, each graceful curve had existed first as a sustained thought, held with such clarity that reality had no choice but to conform. Your thoughts are seeds planted in the fertile soil of consciousness, yet not all seeds sprout with equal vigor. Those watered with scattered attention wither, while those nourished with focused intention flourish. The difference lies not in the thought itself, but in the quality of awareness behind it. When you understand this law, you begin to treat your thoughts as sacred emanations rather than casual occurrences. Each focused thought becomes a prayer, each clear intention a command to the cosmic forces that shape reality. Sacred practice. Select one thought that represents your deepest truth. Write it in your journal with deliberate strokes, feeling the weight of each word. Return to this thought at the striking of each hour. Sit with it in silence, infuse it with the warmth of your emotion. Let it fill your being until it becomes more real than what your eyes can see. Hold it with the same reverence Ruth gave her books, the same certainty Stanley gave his designs. For in this focused devotion you forge the first link in the chain of creation. Chapter 12. Feeling is the frequency of manifestation. In the depths of winter, Harriet stood before her mirror, throat tight with years of silence. Once, her voice had soared through opera houses, touching souls with its pure resonance. Now she lived in the shadow of that memory, until one night when the music stirred within her again. You must understand that creation flows not from thought alone, but from the electric current of feeling. As Harriet closed her eyes that night, she didn't merely remember her voice. She felt it vibrating in every cell. By morning, notes poured from her lips as if they had never left, carrying the same power that had once moved audiences to tears. The universe responds to vibration before words, to feeling before form. When you align your emotional frequency with what you wish to create, you become a tuning fork that reality must match. This is not metaphor, but quantum law. Emotion generates a measurable field that influences the very fabric of existence. Bernard knew this truth without knowing its name. Each dawn, he would sit in his garden, watching the sun paint the sky in the same colors as his wife's favorite flowers. In those moments, he didn't think about her. He felt her presence with such intensity that the boundary between past and present dissolved. His love became a bridge across dimensions, proving that emotion knows no linear time. You have been taught to dismiss feeling as mere sentiment, to elevate thought above all else. Yet the ancient wisdom whispers otherwise. Gratitude carries the highest frequency in the human experience, followed closely by joy, wonder, and love. These are not simply pleasant states. They are creative forces that bend reality to their rhythm. When Harriet sang again, she didn't practice scales. She bathed in the pure joy of music until her body remembered its purpose. When Bernard communes with love each morning, he doesn't grasp at memory. He surrenders to the feeling until it becomes more real than absence. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Choose music that stirs your soul, or bring an object that connects you to your desire. Close your eyes and allow yourself to feel your vision as if it were manifesting now. Don't imagine it, become it. Let the feeling fill your chest, pulse through your veins, vibrate in your bones. Move if your body calls for it. Breathe it in if it carries a scent. Taste it if it has flavor. Stay here until the feeling becomes more real than what your eyes can see when they open. This is not visualization. It is vibrational alignment, the forgotten language of creation. Chapter 13. The imaginal realm is realer than real. In a small workshop lit by candlelight, Norma's hands moved across parchment with otherworldly grace. Each stroke of her pencil revealed gowns of such magnificence that they seemed to float off the page, designs that existed nowhere in the physical world, yet felt more real than the wooden table beneath her fingers. You must understand that what you call imagination is not mere fantasy. It is the quantum workshop where all creation begins. The imaginal realm exists as surely as the chair you sit upon, though it operates by different laws. Here, in this sacred space between thought and form, everything that will ever manifest must first take shape. Norma didn't simply sketch dresses. She entered a state of consciousness where the designs already existed, waiting to be discovered. She saw every detail, the way light caught the beading, how the fabric moved with each step, the precise shade of midnight blue that would make a queen's eyes shine. Within months, a royal messenger arrived with a commission that matched her visions exactly. Gerald's story speaks to this same truth. In the cold confines of his orphanage bed, he built an entire village in his mind, not as escape, but as prophecy. Each night, He walked its streets, knew its people, and felt the warmth of its community. He crafted every detail, the town square with its ancient oak, the chapel bells that rang at noon, the way sunlight hit the cobblestones. 20 years later, he found himself elected mayor of a town so similar it took his breath away. The imaginal realm operates through absolute law. What you imprint there with feeling, detail, and reverence must emerge in the physical world. This is not wishful thinking. It is the very mechanism of creation itself. When you enter this space consciously, you step into the quantum field where all possibilities exist simultaneously, waiting for your selection. Your task is not to figure out how your visions will manifest. That belongs to the infinite intelligence of the universe. Your role is to enter the imaginal realm with the reverence of an artist and the precision of an architect, knowing that what you experience there contains the seed of its own fulfillment. Sacred practice. As you prepare for sleep tonight, create a sacred space in your mind. Enter it as you would a temple. Allow a scene from your desired life to unfold naturally, as if watching a film where you are both observer and participant. Notice every detail, the sounds, the textures, the quality of light, the emotions flowing through your body. Don't direct the scene. Let it reveal itself to you. Stay with this vision until sleep begins to take you, knowing that in these moments between waking and dreaming, you are programming the quantum field itself. The boundary between imaginal and physical grows thin here, allowing your vision to take root in the soil of reality. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. Aligning your identity with the outcome. In a small diner on the edge of town, Doris carried more than plates of food. She carried the presence of the acclaimed author she knew herself to be. Each morning before her shift, she dressed in elegant attire that seemed out of place behind a counter. Yet there was something magnetic about her demeanor that drew others in, as though they sensed the transformation taking place before their eyes. You must grasp this fundamental truth. Manifestation flows not from what you want, but from who you are. The universe responds not to your wishes, but to your self-concept, the living, breathing identity you embody moment by moment. When Doris began speaking with the quiet confidence of a successful writer, sharing insights about character and plot with her customers, she wasn't pretending. She was becoming. Within months, her manuscript found its way to a publisher who recognized in her words the same authority she had been radiating. The shift in her external reality was merely catching up to the internal shift that had already taken place. Consider Elwood, who for decades crafted shoes with skilled hands until the day he awakened to a deeper calling. He began carrying himself with the gentle authority of a healer, speaking words that soothed more than leather. His hands, once known for stitching souls, became known for mending souls. The transformation occurred not when he received his first patient, but in the moment he accepted his new identity without reservation. Your identity is the mold into which the universe pours experience. Change the mold, and reality has no choice but to reshape itself accordingly. This is not about pretense or performance. It is about allowing yourself to expand into the truth of who you are becoming. The caterpillar does not pretend to be a butterfly. It surrenders to its inherent nature. Sacred practice. Take a moment now to write out every detail of your future self, not just their achievements, but their way of moving through the world. How do they speak? What do they wear? How do they carry themselves? What energy do they emanate? Then, for one full day, step fully into this identity. Dress as they would dress, speak as they would speak, move as they would move. This is not an exercise in pretending, it is a sacred act of becoming. Let each moment be an opportunity to align with this expanded version of yourself, knowing that as you hold this frequency, the universe must respond in kind. Chapter 15. The Great Collapse. In the golden age of theater, Irene commanded stages across continents, her name blazing on marquees that lit up the night. Yet at the height of her acclaim, she vanished, choosing instead the company of silence in a remote mountain cottage. This choice, which seemed like madness to the world, held within it the deepest wisdom. You stand now at a similar threshold. The universe whispers that to embrace the new, you must first release your grip on the old. This is not mere change. It is sacred dissolution, a death that precedes rebirth. Your current identity, like a beloved but outgrown garment, must be laid down with honor. When Irene stepped away from applause, she discovered something profound in the quiet, her true voice. In letting go of who she had been, she created space for who she was becoming. The process was not painless, identity death never is. Yet in this dissolution lay the seeds of transformation. Consider Roy, who had worn the mantle of warrior for so long it had become his skin. His hands knew only how to grip weapons until the day he chose to open them to soil instead. On land where he once stood guard, he began planting olive trees. Each sapling represented not just new life, but the death of an old way of being. As he buried his hands in earth, he buried the soldier he had been, allowing a gardener of peace to emerge. Your own transformation awaits this same courage. The stories you've carried, the roles you've played, the beliefs that have defined you, these are not your essence. They are costumes you once needed, but now must be released. Feel the grief of this letting go, for it is sacred. Honor what has been, even as you create space for what will be. The universe cannot fill a vessel that is already full. Your willingness to empty yourself, to stand naked of old identities, is the very invitation creation requires. This emptying is not loss, but preparation for abundance. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment as the sun sets. Take paper and pen and write a letter to the self you are releasing. Pour into it all your gratitude for how this version of you served, all your grief in letting go, all your understanding that this death serves life. When complete, either bury the letter in earth or burn it with reverence. As you watch it transform, speak these words. I release who I have been, making space for who I am becoming. Chapter 16. Symbols, Rituals, and Sacred Repetition. In a small village known for its exquisite pottery, Virginia worked in silence, her hands moving with practiced grace. Upon every vessel she created, she carved an ancient symbol, 3 intersecting circles within a square. This wasn't mere decoration, it was a bridge between worlds, a conversation with the infinite. You too possess this power of sacred repetition. The universe speaks not through words alone, but through symbols, gestures, and devoted action. These become the language through which you commune with the quantum field. Each time Virginia's fingers traced this symbol, she strengthened its power. Her belief, reinforced through countless repetitions, transformed a simple marking into a catalyst for abundance. Her pottery didn't just carry water or hold flowers, it carried blessings. Those who purchased her work often spoke of unexpected fortune flowing into their lives. The subconscious mind, that vast ocean beneath your conscious awareness, responds not to logic, but to symbol and ceremony. It is moved by what you do consistently, reverently, with focused intention. This is why Herbert, keeper of the town's clock tower, unknowingly became a channel of prosperity for his entire community. Every dawn for 5 decades, Herbert climbed the tower's spiral stairs. He would touch each of the 4 corners, bow to the rising sun, and wind the ancient mechanism with the same careful movements. He never spoke of this ritual. It was private, sacred, natural as breathing. Yet his devotion became a force that shaped reality. The town flourished, protected by his silent ceremony. Through their stories you glimpse a profound truth. Repetition is not mundane, it is magical. When you perform an action with unwavering faith, when you imbue an object or gesture with meaning through consistent attention, you create a resonance in the quantum field. This resonance attracts corresponding realities. The ancients understood this. Their temples were built on ceremony, their lives ordered by ritual. They knew that sacred repetition was not superstition, but science, the science of impressing consciousness upon matter. Sacred practice. Select one object, word, or gesture that calls to your soul. It might be a crystal, a ring, a specific movement of your hand, or a word in any language. Hold it in meditation for several minutes, filling it with your highest intention. Declare silently, through this sacred object, word, gesture, I commune with the infinite. As I use this with devotion, so shall my intention manifest. Use your chosen symbol daily, at the same time with the same reverence. Let it become your bridge between worlds. Chapter 17. Receiving is a sacred act. In a modest cottage at the edge of town lived Mabel, whose hands were always giving but never receiving. Each morning she baked extra loaves to share, mended clothes for neighbors, and tended gardens that weren't her own. Yet when others offered help, she would wave it away with a smile and say, I couldn't possibly accept. The universe operates through cycles. Giving and receiving form a sacred circle. When you refuse to receive, you create a dam in the flow of abundance. Your resistance, born of unworthiness, becomes the very barrier keeping prosperity at bay. Mabel's transformation began on an autumn morning when exhaustion finally overcame her pride. As she struggled with heavy groceries, a stranger offered assistance. For the first time, instead of declining, she paused, breathed deeply, and whispered, "Yes, thank you." This simple acceptance created a crack in the wall she had built around her heart. That crack widened day by day. She accepted a neighbor's offer to share garden vegetables, allowed a friend to treat her to tea, and received a compliment without deflecting. Each yes felt like a small revolution in her soul. And with each acceptance, the universe responded with greater abundance, opportunities, connections, unexpected gifts. Clifford's tale mirrors this truth from another angle. In his small apartment surrounded by books and silence, he had perfected the art of refusing life's offerings. For months, a letter sat unopened on his desk, its presence a testament to his resistance to receiving. When he finally broke the seal, he discovered an inheritance that had been waiting patiently for his recognition. The money was secondary to the deeper lesson. Abundance had been there all along, awaiting only his willingness to receive it. You stand now at this same threshold. The universe's gifts surround you, yet you may have learned to deflect them with polite refusals, with unworthiness, with the belief that receiving is somehow less noble than giving. But receiving is not taking. It is completing the circle of divine exchange. Your resistance to receiving is not humility. It is a form of control, a way of keeping yourself small. When you truly open to receive, You honor the giver, you complete the cycle, and you allow the quantum field to flow unimpeded through your life. Sacred practice. For the next 7 days, practice receiving with grace. When someone offers help, a gift, or a compliment, pause, breathe, and say thank you. After each instance of receiving, place your hand on your heart and whisper, "I am worthy." Notice how this simple act begins to shift the flow of abundance in your life. Chapter 18. The Resistance is the Gateway. In the heart of the city's most prestigious dance studio, Beverly moved with grace and precision until the day her body betrayed her. A torn ligament brought her flowing movements to an abrupt halt. As she sat in the empty studio, her reflection in the mirror spoke of limitation and loss. You too may find yourself at such a crossroads, where what once flowed freely now meets resistance. Yet within this very resistance lies a sacred message, one that most fail to perceive. The universe speaks through obstacles, using them not as barriers but as bridges to higher understanding. When Beverly finally stopped fighting against her injury and began listening to it instead, something remarkable emerged. Her forced stillness revealed movements she had never noticed before, subtle rhythms in her breath, microscopic adjustments in her balance, the dance of energy through her body even in repose. What appeared as limitation became initiation into a deeper art. The quantum field responds not to your struggle but to your surrender. When you push against resistance, you strengthen its presence in your reality. But when you embrace it as your teacher, it transforms into a gateway. Floyd, a master carpenter, spent decades pursuing perfection in his craft. Each tiny flaw in his work became a source of torment until one day his trembling hands created an unexpected groove in an otherwise flawless table. As he stood ready to discard his work, sunlight caught the imperfection, creating a pattern of shadows that transformed the entire piece. That table, with its beautiful flaw, became his most celebrated creation. What you resist persists not because the universe is cruel, but because it awaits your recognition of the gift within the challenge. Your obstacles are not punishments, they are portals. Each point of resistance in your life marks the entrance to a new dimension of understanding, if only you will stop long enough to listen to its wisdom. The pain you feel when confronting resistance is not a signal to retreat. It is the sensation of your consciousness expanding. Like a butterfly struggling to emerge from its chrysalis, the very act of pushing against limitation strengthens the wings you'll need for flight. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Light a candle and take out your journal. Think of the strongest resistance you currently face in your life. Write it a letter, beginning with, "I acknowledge your presence in my life. What wisdom do you carry for me?" Sit in silence after writing, allowing the answer to emerge from within. Record what you receive, knowing that the very act of asking transforms the nature of resistance itself. Chapter 19. Words Create Worlds. In a small radio station tucked away in the mountains, Estelle discovered a truth that would transform not only her life, but the lives of thousands who tuned in each morning. Between the melodies and rhythms of her morning show, she began speaking words of power, not as mere commentary, but as sacred declarations into the quantum field. Your words hold a vibrational frequency that ripples through the fabric of reality itself. When you speak, you are not merely expressing thoughts, you are issuing commands to the universe. Each syllable carries an energetic signature that instructs the field of infinite possibility how to arrange itself. Estelle's listeners began reporting extraordinary changes in their lives. A woman who heard the affirmation, "I am worthy of love," while driving to work, found herself proposed to that evening. A man caught the words, "Abundance flows freely to me," and received an unexpected inheritance the following week. The airwaves became a conductor for miracles. Yet it was not the words alone that held such power. It was the consciousness behind them. When you speak with the full authority of your divine nature, reality has no choice but to respond. This is the forgotten science of sacred speech known to the ancient masters who understood that creation itself began with a word. In a village far from Estelle's radio waves, Horace the blacksmith worked in almost complete silence. Each morning, before touching his tools, he would utter a single phrase: "Divine fire flows through my hands." Nothing more. But those who sought his craftsmanship spoke of items that seemed to carry a blessing, tools that never broke, blades that stayed sharp beyond their time, metalwork that appeared to glow with inner light. The power lies not in quantity but in quality. A single word spoken from the depths of your being carries more creative force than 1,000 spoken in doubt. Your voice is an instrument of creation, and when you align it with universal truth, you activate forces beyond ordinary understanding. Like a master musician who draws forth ethereal melodies from a simple string, you possess the ability to orchestrate reality through the sacred tones of your speech. When you speak with unwavering conviction, each syllable becomes a seed planted in the fertile soil of infinite possibility, destined to bloom into manifestation. This is why the ancient mystics guarded their words so carefully, understanding that every utterance carries the weight of creative potential. Sacred practice. Select 3 phrases that resonate with the core of your being. Write them on parchment with intention. At sunrise, speak the first phrase while facing east, feeling its vibration in every cell of your body. At noon, stand in full sunlight and declare the second, allowing its power to merge with the sun's zenith. At sunset, speak the third phrase as a sacred seal upon the day. Maintain this practice for 7 days, observing how reality begins to align with your declarations. Chapter 20, Living as If, the Quantum Leap. In the soft light of dawn, Ida would slip into the magnificent gowns she had crafted in secret. While others saw an apprentice, she moved with the grace of a master designer, each step an affirmation of who she truly was. Not pretending, but remembering, for the quantum field responds not to what you wish to become, but to who you already are in the depths of your being. You must understand this sacred truth. The future you yearn for exists now, waiting only for you to step into alignment with it. When you embody your vision with unwavering certainty, time itself begins to bend. The universe recognizes no distinction between what is and what could be. It knows only the frequency you emit in this moment. In a small cottage at the edge of town, Otis laid out 2 plates each morning. Fresh bread, honey, and tea for 2, though he dined alone. Others whispered that grief had taken his reason, but Otis knew better. He was not hoping, he was knowing. Each morning ritual was a declaration to the quantum field. His daughter would return. And in return she did, on a misty autumn morning, drawn home by a force she couldn't explain. This is the power of embodiment, not an act of imagination, but a shift in the very fabric of your being. When you live as though your desire is already manifest, you create a resonance that the universe must match. It is law as certain as gravity, as inevitable as dawn following night. Your physical reality is merely a shadow of consciousness, a reflection cast upon the screen of time and space by the light within. Change the consciousness, and the shadow must change. This is an immutable law that governs all creation. This is why those who understand this principle live from the end result, treating their desire not as a future possibility, but as a present fact. They know that what appears in the outer world is but an echo of inner truth, and by dwelling in the consciousness of fulfillment, they command the very forces that shape existence. Sacred practice. Choose an hour when you will not be disturbed. Create a sacred space, perhaps with candlelight or soft music. Now, step fully into your future self. How does this version of you breathe? How do they move through space? What thoughts occupy their mind? Let every gesture, every word, every breath align with this truth. Do not break character for the full hour. You are not practicing. You are remembering who you truly are. The universe will have no choice but to reflect back this reality, for it is law. Part 3. The Mastery. You and the universe are one. Chapter 21. The Reality Bender. In the dimly lit jazz club, Silas ran his fingers across the piano keys, finding the sacred progression that seemed to part the veils of reality. Each time he played these particular notes, G minor, D7, C major, A diminished, the world around him began to shimmer with possibility. It wasn't music he was creating, it was reality itself. You possess this same power to bend the fabric of existence. The world you see is not fixed. It is responsive to the frequency you emit through your consciousness. When you grasp this truth, truly grasp it, you realize that adaptation was never the goal. You are not here to fit into reality. You are here to shape it. The quantum field responds not to what you do, but to who you are being in each moment. Your presence, your certainty, your unwavering knowing, these are the forces that mold the malleable substance of existence. Like Silas at his piano, you are always playing a tune that reality must dance to. In a small garden on the outskirts of town, Luella stood among her roses, her presence more commanding than any storm cloud. When others checked weather reports, she simply declared, "The sun will shine at noon." And it did. When drought threatened, she whispered to her flowers, "The rain comes tomorrow." And it came. She had transcended asking. She had become one with the power of declaration. This is the depth of your authority. Reality bends to your consciousness when you stand rooted in quantum awareness. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every feeling you embody is a command to the universe. There is no separation between the observer and the observed. You are the creator at the center of your world. Sacred practice. Rise tomorrow with this knowing. You are a reality bender. Move through your day with the quiet authority of one who understands that each gesture shapes the quantum field. Speak your words with the certainty that they are programming reality. Walk as though your footsteps are creating the path before you. Do not hope. Do not wish. Do not ask. Declare, know, and command. The universe will respond not to your requests, but to your unwavering certainty in the malleability of existence. When you enter a room, know that your presence alters its energy. When you speak, know that your words are restructuring the field of possibilities. When you focus your attention, know that reality itself must shift to align with your awareness. This is not practice, it is remembrance of your true power. Chapter 22. The field responds to certainty. In a workshop filled with gears and springs, Clyde assembled timepieces without blueprints or guides. His hands moved with the assurance of one who walked between worlds, knowing that each mechanism would align perfectly, not because he hoped, but because he knew. The universe responded not to his skill, but to his certainty. You stand at this same threshold of creation. The difference between those who manifest and those who merely wish lies not in technique, but in knowing. When you cross the bridge from wanting certainty, reality has no choice but to conform to your consciousness. Notice how Clyde never questioned whether his clocks would work. He did not hope they would keep time. He knew they would. This knowledge resided not in his mind, but in the marrow of his bones. It was not a thought he entertained, but a truth he embodied. This is the vibration that commands the quantum field. Most spend their lives in the shadow realm of hoping, wishing, wanting. They pray for outcomes, plead with the universe, bargain with destiny. But you are called to a higher law, the law of knowing. When your consciousness shifts from desire to certainty, the universe must respond. It has no other choice. Ramona traveled from town to town, speaking words that transformed lives. She never asked if healing would occur. She knew it would. Her certainty was not arrogance. It was alignment with universal law. As she laid hands upon the sick, her words carried the weight of absolute knowing. "You are whole," she would declare, and bodies would align with her declaration. Not because she was special, but because she had crossed the threshold from hoping to knowing. This is your invitation, to step beyond the realm of wishes into the kingdom of certainty. The universe does not respond to your prayers or your pain. It responds to your knowing. When you declare from this place of unshakable certainty, reality itself must bend to accommodate your consciousness. Sacred practice. Select one area of your life where transformation is calling. Instead of hoping for change, embody complete certainty in its unfolding. Create a declaration that carries the weight of absolute knowing. It is done. This is mine. I am this now. Speak this truth throughout your day, not as affirmation, but as declaration. Let your words carry the force of one who knows that what they speak must manifest. The universe will respond not to your desire, but to your certainty. Chapter 23. You are the cause of the effect. In the quiet halls of an aging school, Leonard moved with deliberate grace, his mop tracing circles on worn linoleum floors. Each morning, before students filled these corridors, he would whisper blessings into the emptiness. "Peace flows through these halls," he would say, or "Love dwells in every corner." Over time, something shifted. Teachers noticed fewer fights, less tension, more laughter. The change seemed mysterious to all but Leonard, who understood the ancient truth. We do not live in the world. The world lives in us. You are now ready to grasp this fundamental principle of creation. Every circumstance you encounter is not happening to you, it is happening from you. The quantum field does not create your reality, it mirrors your consciousness. When you shift your inner state, the outer world must realign to match it. Just as Leonard blessed those halls into harmony, you hold the power to bless your world into new configurations. But this power demands responsibility, a willingness to see yourself not as a victim of circumstances, but as their author. Every experience, every encounter, every situation arises from the depths of your own consciousness. Consider Nettie, who wrote her heart's poetry in chalk on her porch each dawn, letting rain wash away her words by nightfall. Years later, she discovered her exact verses in a published collection, written by someone she had never met. Her creative force had rippled through the quantum field, finding expression through another vessel. This is not coincidence. It is causation at its most subtle level. You see, the universe operates not through chance, but through resonance. Whatever vibrates within you must find its mirror in the external world. Your inner state is not private. It is broadcast into the field of all possibility, calling forth its matching circumstances. When you encounter discord, look not to the world but to yourself. When you face limitations, examine not your circumstances, but your consciousness. You are not receiving life, you are creating it, moment by moment, through the silent broadcasting of your deepest beliefs and expectations. This is not about blame, it is about power. To know that you are the origin point of your experience is to hold the master key to transformation, change your inner state, and watch as reality reshapes itself to reflect your new consciousness. Sacred practice. Throughout this day, pause before each situation you encounter. Ask yourself, what within me has called forth this experience? Be willing to see yourself as cause, not effect. When you encounter harmony, acknowledge the peace within you that created it. When you face a challenge, look for the belief or expectation that summoned it. Adjust your inner state and watch as the outer world transforms to match your new vibration. Remember, you are not living in the world is living in you. Chapter 24. Synchronicity is the signature of alignment. In the bustling streets of an ancient marketplace, Eugene knelt before countless shoes, his cloth moving in rhythmic circles as he brought leather to gleaming life. Each morning, he would ask the universe for guidance in his decisions, and so it began. A white feather would drift down whenever his choices aligned with his highest path. At first, he dismissed these moments as chance, but as the pattern continued, he awakened to a profound truth that you too must now embrace. The universe speaks not in thunderous proclamations, but in whispers, symbols, and perfect timing. What appears as coincidence to the sleeping mind reveals itself as divine correspondence to the awakened heart. When you align with your true path, reality becomes poetry, each moment pregnant with meaning, each encounter precisely orchestrated. Consider how Alma, in the depths of her grief, began dreaming of blue lilies, flowers she had never seen in waking life. In the morning, she finally chose joy over sorrow. Her daily walk led her past a garden she had never noticed before. There, swaying in the morning breeze, stood a cluster of blue lilies in full bloom. This was not a chance, it was confirmation. The language of synchronicity surrounds you at all times. A song that answers your unspoken question. A book that falls open to exactly the page you needed to read. A chance encounter that shifts the course of your destiny. These are not random events, they are the universe's way of speaking directly to your soul. But to receive these messages, you must first attune yourself to their frequency. Like Eugene with his feathers, you must cultivate the art of sacred attention. Every detail matters. Every coincidence carries meaning. The universe wastes nothing in its communication with you. When you begin to notice these patterns, you step into a different relationship with reality itself. No longer are you moving through a cold, mechanical world. You are dancing in a living cosmos that responds to your every step. The signs are always there, waiting to be recognized. Yet this awareness requires something from you. The courage to trust what cannot be explained by logic alone. The wisdom to see meaning in the seemingly mundane. The willingness to follow where these divine breadcrumbs lead. Sacred practice. Keep a synchronicity journal by your side today. Record every meaningful coincidence, every strange timing, every recurring symbol or number. Note the thoughts you were holding when these signs appeared. Before sleep, read through your entries with gratitude, understanding that each synchronicity was a love letter from the universe, confirming your path and guiding your next step. Chapter 25. The universe has no delay, only preparation. In a small attic room lit by a single lamp, Harold sat surrounded by rejection letters. Each morning he would walk to his mailbox, heart racing, only to find another no. 37 times the universe seemed to close its doors, yet on the 38th morning an acceptance arrived, dated mysteriously from the very day he had sent out his first submission. You see, time is not what you believe it to be. It does not flow in the linear stream your mind perceives. What appears as delay is often divine preparation, a sacred interval where your consciousness aligns with the reality you seek to manifest. When you stand in the midst of apparent waiting, remember that the universe operates in perfect timing. Your task is not to force the door open, but to become the person who walks through it naturally. Every not yet is actually a not ready. Not because you lack worth, but because your emergence is still unfolding. Consider Lorraine, whose arms ached for a child. For years she petitioned the heavens, marking each month of emptiness as failure. But the universe was not denying her. It was preparing her. In the morning she finally looked in the mirror and declared, "I am already a mother." She received a call about a little girl who needed exactly the love she had spent years cultivating. The quantum field responds not to time, but to resonance. When you align fully with your desire, when you embody it at the level of identity, what seemed impossible arrives with elegant timing. Your role is not to push against the gates of manifestation, but to become so aligned with your vision that its arrival becomes inevitable. What you perceive as waiting is actually a sacred transformation. Each moment of seeming delay holds within it a gift of becoming. The universe is not withholding, it is orchestrating circumstances, aligning energies, and preparing both you and your desire for perfect union. Stop measuring your manifestations by the calendar. Begin measuring them by your alignment. When you feel impatience arise, know that this too is part of your preparation. The universe has never been late to any appointment, though its timing rarely matches your expectations. Sacred practice. Each time impatience arises today, pause and speak these words aloud. The universe is not late. It is preparing something perfect. Feel the truth of this statement in your body. Let it dissolve the urgency of waiting and open you to the wisdom of divine timing. For in this surrender you align with the very force that orchestrates all creation. Chapter 26. Wealth, health, and love are not rewards, but reflections. In the shadows of a dimly lit pawn shop, Russell stood, his empty wallet held between trembling hands. His wealth, like autumn leaves, had scattered to the winds of circumstance. Yet in that moment of deepest loss, an ancient wisdom stirred within him, not to curse the emptiness, but to bless it. You see, abundance flows not from external circumstance, but from internal alignment. When you stand before apparent emptiness, you face a sacred choice, to see lack or to see potential. The universe mirrors not what you want, but what you are being in relation to what you seek. Russell began a ritual, one that seemed foolish to those who watched. Each morning, he would hold his empty wallet to his heart and whisper words of gratitude, not for what was, but for what he knew to be true in the quantum field. "You are a vessel of infinite abundance," he would say, treating each crease in the leather as a channel for prosperity. Within weeks, opportunities began to materialize. A forgotten debt was repaid. A business partnership emerged. His wallet, once empty, became a conductor of prosperity, not because he had earned it, but because he had aligned with it. Consider Mildred, whose needle danced through fabric in the quiet hours before dawn. Into each hem, she wove whispered blessings. The wearer of this dress walks in grace. Abundance flows to her naturally. She is worthy of all good things. Those who wore her creations reported mysterious windfalls, unexpected opportunities, profound shifts in fortune. The dresses became known as garments of transformation, not through any outer magic, but through the frequency of abundance she had sewn into every stitch. You see, lack is not a condition to be overcome. It is an illusion to be seen through. When you stand before an empty bank account, a vacant home, or an unfulfilled dream, remember, these are not measures of your worth, but invitations to align with the truth of universal abundance. The quantum field responds not to your need, but to your state of being. When you treat yourself as worthy, when you move through the world as though abundance already flows through you, you alter the very fabric of reality. This is not pretense, it is an energetic truth. Sacred practice. Today, choose one area where you have felt lacking. It might be in wealth, love, health, or opportunity. Now, for the next 24 hours, treat this area as though it is already overflowing with abundance. Dress as though prosperity flows through you. Speak as though you lack nothing. Move through your day as though the universe has already provided everything you need. This is not an act. It is an alignment with the truth of your being. For in the quantum field, what you embody becomes what you experience. Chapter 27. Collapse the conditions, command the outcome. In a dimly lit casino, Victor sat at the poker table, his chips arranged not by value, but by intuition. While others calculated odds and studied faces, he listened to something deeper, the whisper of perfect timing. His greatest wins came not from strategy, but from surrender to the moment when all possibilities converged. You stand now at a similar crossroads. The universe awaits not your careful planning, but your sovereign decision. When you release your grip on how and when, infinite paths open before you. Your task is not to micromanage destiny, but to hold the vision while releasing attachment to its unfolding. Victor understood this truth. He never questioned the means of his victory. He simply knew it was assured. His certainty created a field of probability that the universe rushed to fill. By releasing conditions, he allowed magic to flow through paths he could never have calculated. Consider Esther, whose brush never touched canvas until the vision was complete within her. She painted masterpieces without preliminary sketches, without studies, without the safety nets other artists required. Her finished works emerged exactly as she had seen them in her mind's eye. Not because she controlled every stroke, but because she trusted the journey while holding firm to the destination. You see, the quantum field responds not to your detailed instructions, but to your unwavering vision coupled with complete trust. When you dictate the how, you narrow the infinite channels through which your desire can manifest. When you insist on when, you create resistance in the natural flow of divine timing. This is the paradox of manifestation. The more you release control of the process, the more precisely your vision manifests. The universe has access to paths you cannot see, timing you cannot comprehend, and resources you cannot imagine. Your role is to hold the end in mind while surrendering the journey to a wisdom greater than your own. Sacred practice. Take your deepest desire and write it down in detail, allowing yourself to express every nuance and shade of what you truly wish to manifest. Now examine every condition you've placed upon it. Every must be this way and has to happen then. Every limitation born of fear or doubt that you've unconsciously woven into your vision. Cross out each condition one by one, feeling the weight lift from your spirit with each stroke of your pen. Feel the freedom in each release, the expansion of possibility that comes when you loosen your grip on the how and when you've eliminated every restriction, every barrier that your mind has constructed. Hold your paper to your heart and declare with complete trust, I allow this to come in the highest, fastest, and most joyful way. This is not resignation. It is alignment with the infinite intelligence that orchestrates galaxies, guides the seasons, and knows the perfect path to your highest good. In this sacred moment of surrender, you become one with the divine flow that has never failed to deliver what is meant for you. Chapter 28. The Quantum State of Surrendered Power. In a small chapel among ancient oaks, Frederick stood before his congregation, his voice, once powerful and resonant, now reduced to silence. For 30 years his sermons had moved hearts and transformed lives. Now, stripped of speech, he faced his greatest teaching. You too stand at this threshold of sacred surrender. The universe asks not for your striving, but for your release. In letting go, you activate a power far greater than control could ever achieve. Frederick learned this truth in the depths of his silence. Where once he had carefully crafted every word, now he simply stood in presence. His congregation began to feel something deeper than speech, a transmission of pure spirit. They spoke of feeling more connected to the divine in his silence than they ever had through his words. June, a woman who had inherited a precious necklace from her grandmother, felt called to give it to a stranger she met at dawn. The necklace had been her anchor, her connection to her lineage. In releasing it, she trembled, not from loss, but from the electric current of divine alignment that moved through her. Within days, she discovered ancient scrolls in her attic, revealing spiritual teachings that had been lost to her family for generations. This is the paradox that now beckons you. In surrendering what you grip most tightly, you create space for something greater to enter. The universe cannot fill hands that are already full. Your perceived control is often the very barrier to your expansion. When you release the need to orchestrate every detail, to safeguard every outcome, you align with the vast intelligence that orchestrates the dance of galaxies. This is not passive resignation. It is active alignment with the force that moves worlds. Sacred practice. Select one area of your life where you feel the grip of control most strongly, perhaps a relationship, career decision, or long-held dream that you've been trying to force into being. Light a candle in a quiet space, allowing its gentle flame to represent the eternal wisdom that guides all things. On pure white paper, write a letter of complete release to the universe, holding nothing back. Pour into it all your fears, your expectations, your rigid timelines, your limiting conditions. Let every word be an offering, a sacred act of trust. Express even those doubts you've been afraid to acknowledge, knowing they too must be released. Sign it with these words: I surrender this to divine orchestration, knowing that what returns will far exceed what I release. Feel the profound truth of these words as you write them. Place this letter on your altar or in a sacred space, perhaps near a window where moonlight can touch it, or beside objects that hold spiritual significance for you. Let the candle burn as a symbol of transformation, the dissolving of resistance into trust, the melting of fear into faith. As you watch the flame, know that just as it dances freely while remaining perfectly guided, so too will your life flow when you release your need to control its every movement. Chapter 29. Create through being, not trying. In a small flower shop at the edge of town, Sylvia arranged roses with such tenderness that each bloom seemed to glow from within. For years she had pushed and strived, plastering the town with advertisements and special offers. Yet the day she stopped trying, the day she simply allowed herself to be present with each stem, each petal, each moment, everything changed. You stand now at this same crossroads of understanding. The quantum field responds not to effort, but to essence. When you cease the endless doing and sink into being, you activate a magnetic force beyond comprehension. Sylvia discovered this truth among her flowers. She no longer thought about sales or strategy. Instead, she lost herself in the pure joy of creation. She spoke to her flowers as friends, arranged them with love, and delighted in their presence. Soon, people began appearing at her door, drawn by an invisible force they couldn't explain. "There's something different about this place," they would say. "We can feel it." In the heart of the city lived Everett, an elderly man who had never sought to teach or guide anyone. He simply lived in deep peace, tending his small garden and reading by his window. Yet day after day, strangers would knock at his door, seeking counsel. He offered no techniques, no systems, no promises. His very presence was the teaching. In his quiet company, problems seemed to dissolve, clarity would dawn, and hearts would heal. This is the profound truth that now beckons you. The universe responds not to what you do, but to who you are being. When you try to manifest, you create resistance. When you embody the energy of what you desire, you become a natural magnet for its expression. Consider how water flows. It does not strain or struggle. It simply moves in harmony with its nature. So too must you align with the essence of what you seek. If you desire abundance, be abundant in your thoughts and feelings. If you seek love, be love itself. If you want peace, embody peace now. Sacred practice. Choose the state of being that matches your deepest desire. Perhaps it is joy, abundance, peace, or love. For this entire day, take no extra action toward your goal. Instead, simply live as though you are already that which you seek to become. Move through your day as if what you desire is already yours. Let your breath, your walk, your smile reflect this truth. Notice how reality begins to bend toward your embodied state, without effort, without strain. You are not reaching for something distant. You are awakening to what already is. Chapter 30. This is too powerful. In the quiet hours before dawn, Wanda would sit at her wooden table, threads and fabrics laid before her, and speak the day into being. "Today, a woman in blue will request a wedding dress," she would say, and by afternoon, such a woman would appear. "The wind will carry news of joy," she would whisper, and letters of celebration would flutter through her window. "You have walked through ancient wisdom, uncovered forgotten truths, and now stand at the threshold of full remembrance. The law you have studied is not separate from your being. It is your being." Like Wanda, who discovered that reality danced to the rhythm of her words, you too possess this sacred authority. Raymond, who once measured life through microscopes and equations, found himself transformed by this understanding. After years of demanding proof, he encountered a truth beyond evidence. Kneeling before an ancient oak, tears streaming down his face, he whispered, I remember." At that moment, the artificial boundary between observer and observer dissolved. He saw that consciousness itself was the foundation of all reality. This is not a power to be gained, but a truth to be remembered. You are not learning something new. You are awakening to what has always been. The quantum law is not a force outside yourself, waiting to be mastered. It is the very essence of your being, the truth of who you are. When you speak, the universe listens not because you have earned its attention, but because you are its voice. When you create, reality shapes itself, not because you have learned its secrets, but because you are its source. You are not separate from the field of infinite possibility. You are that field expressing itself in human form. This understanding changes everything. No longer must you petition the universe for your desires. No longer must you wait for permission to create. You are the dreaming field itself, taking form and experiencing its own infinite potential through your unique expression. Sacred practice. Stand before a mirror at sunrise, look deeply into your own eyes, and speak these words with the full authority of your being. I command from alignment. I create through presence. I am the law. Repeat this declaration for 30 days, allowing each word to resonate with the truth of who you are. You are not affirming something new. You are acknowledging what has always been. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. As you close these chapters, know that what has transpired here is far more than the acquisition of knowledge. You have not merely learned, you have remembered. The ancient wisdom contained within these teachings has awakened something that has always resided within you, waiting to be recognized. The quantum law of creation was never separate from your being. Like a wave, remembering it is the ocean, you have simply returned to your natural state of power. Each teaching, each practice, each moment of revelation has served as a mirror, reflecting back your inherent divinity. Look back upon your journey through these chapters. Notice how each chapter built upon the last, not adding to who you are, but peeling away the layers of who you are not. The parables and practices were not meant to give you something new, but to illuminate what has always been true. You now understand that manifestation is not about attracting what you want. It is about embodying who you are. The universe no longer responds to your requests because it has recognized your authority. You are not seeking its permission. You are expressing its nature through your being. This wisdom will continue to deepen within you. Return to these teachings as often as you are called, knowing that each reading will reveal new layers of truth. What seemed profound at first will become fundamental. What appeared mysterious will become self-evident. You have transcended the role of seeker and stepped into your true identity as creator. The power you once searched for now flows through you as naturally as breath. Every moment is an opportunity for creation, every thought a seed of manifestation, every choice a declaration of your divine authority. Remember, you are not learning to use the law. You are the law expressing itself through human form. This is not the end of a journey, but the beginning of your authentic existence as the conscious creator you were always meant to be. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.